Welcome to African Folktales with Francis, where every story carries a heartbeat. Long ago, before tall buildings and busy roads, there was a peaceful African town called Aru. Aru sat between red hills and slow-moving rivers. Tall palm trees waved in the wind, and birds sang every morning as the sun rose over the land. The people of Aru were farmers, hunters, and traders. They worked hard during the day and rested at night under the open sky. But what made Aru special was not its land. It was its stories. Every evening, elders sat in a circle around a warm fire. Children gathered close, holding each other's hands. The fire crackled as shadows danced on the ground. The elders spoke about brave warriors who protected the land. They told of wise queens who settled fights with kind words. They spoke about spirits that watched over rivers and forests. In Aru, stories were more than entertainment. Stories were lessons. Stories were history. Stories were life. But as years passed, things began to change. Young people started leaving Aru to find work in faraway cities. Radios replaced drums. Phones replaced evening gatherings. The fire circles grew smaller and smaller. Slowly the stories began to fade. And with them, the memory of Aru began to disappear. There was only one person who still remembered all the stories. His name was Pa Cambale. Pa Cambale was very old. His hair was white like cotton. His back was bent like a tired branch after a long season of rain. He walked slowly with a wooden stick that he had carved himself many years ago. Every evening he walked to a large tree at the edge of the town. The tree was tall and wide, with roots that spread across the ground like long fingers. People called it the big tree. Pa Cambale sat there and waited. Some days children passed by and laughed. Some days adults walked past without looking at him. Most people said, "Stories cannot buy food. Stories cannot build houses. Stories are for the past, not the future." But Pa Cambale believed something different. He believed that a town without stories was like a body without a heart. Sometimes he spoke to the wind when no one came. "Aru," he whispered, "do not forget who you are." One evening, a young girl named Zuri did not go home when the sun began to set. Zuri was curious. She liked to ask questions. She liked to listen. She had heard Pa Cambale's weak but steady voice from far away. So she walked toward the big tree. "Grandfather," she said softly, "can you tell me a story?" Pa Cambale looked at her like someone who had just found water in a dry land. He smiled. He began to speak. He told Zuri about the first people who built Aru with their own hands. He told her about a king who chose peace instead of war. He told her about a young girl long ago who saved the town by speaking the truth when everyone else was afraid. As Pa Cambale spoke, Zuri's eyes grew wide. She could see everything in her mind like a moving picture. That night she went home late. The next day she came back. And the next. Soon Pa Cambale realized something important. Zuri was not just hearing the stories. She was keeping them. One night the sky was dark and the wind was cold. Zuri went to the big tree but Pa Cambale was not there. She waited. The fire she lit grew small. Then someone came running. "Zuri," they called. "Pa Cambale is sick." She rushed to his small clay house. Inside, Pa Cambale lay on a mat. His breathing was slow. Zuri held his hand. "My child," he whispered. "I am the last storyteller of Aru. If I go, our stories may go with me." Zuri shook her head, tears in her eyes. "No," she said. "I remember them. You taught me." Pa Cambale smiled, weak but proud. That night, under the light of a small lamp, he told his final story. It was about a town that almost forgot itself but was saved by a single listening heart. Before the story could end, Pa Cambale closed his eyes. The last storyteller of Aru was gone. The whole town gathered for Pa Cambale's burial. People cried. Elders bowed their heads. Children stood quietly. That evening no one went to the big tree. No one except Zuri. She stood where Pa Cambale used to sit. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. She began to speak. She told the story of the first king. She told the story of the brave girl. She told the story of the town called Aru. People stopped walking. They turned back. They sat down. Soon a circle formed again. Just like the old days. From that night, Zuri became the new storyteller. The big tree was never lonely again. The fire burned every evening. The stories of Aru lived on. They are memory. They are identity. They are the soul of a people. As long as one voice remembers, a kingdom is never truly forgotten. If this story touched you, subscribe and keep African stories alive.